Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We are in the busy holiday travel week, and before you head out on the road or on a flight, we'll have two experts here with some tips to get you through. We're asking, what are the mistakes people make when traveling this time of year? Plus, are you in the mood for a holiday movie night? What are your favorites? What movie do you watch every single year? I've seen Home Alone a few times already in the last week. Let us know what gets put on your screen at home. I'm Michelle Eliot. Welcome to BC Today. Thank you for joining us on CBC Radio 1 and live streaming on the CBC News app on cbc.ca/BC and on the CBC Vancouver YouTube page. Well, the big holiday travel weekend is right around the corner. Like always, it will probably get busy out there, whether it is traveling by plane or driving on the highways. We want to hear from you. What are your own travel tips, your own hacks for making it as easy as possible? And what are the mistakes drivers or travelers make? What are your own pet peeves that you see out there? You can give us a call, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. You can also email us your thoughts, bctoday@cbc.ca. And joining me for what to expect on the roads and how to stay safe is Chris Schultz. He's the CEO of the Prince George Driving for Life Academy. And for tips on airline travel this year, I'm also joined here in studio by Mackenzie McMillan, travel consultant with the Travel Group. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too.
And hello to you. Thanks so much for joining us. Mackenzie, I'll start with you first. What advice do you have for people? It's a few days before the big holiday weekend. What do you want people to keep in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the most important things that people sometimes don't realize is of all the stressful things that can happen when you're traveling, especially by air, a lot of it's actually within our own control. So it's more about planning ahead. So one of the best pieces of advice I can give to anybody is to check in online 24 hours before your flight. Many people don't realize this, but airlines do overbook. As much as we hate that term, overbooking, it does happen. When they do overbook and nobody voluntarily gives up their seat, generally the last people to check in for the flight are the first ones to get bumped off. So you want to be one of those first people to check in, do it online, and that should help eliminate any risk of being bumped. The other thing is that, especially flying out of YVR, is that they now have a program called YVR Express. So for people traveling to the United States or Canada, they can pre-book their time to go through security, and that definitely will alleviate the extra stress you have of waiting in line, especially if you're getting pretty close to your departure time for your flight.
And you don't need an access pass or anything?
You don't, no. So this process is just done through YVR's website. Just look up YVR Express online, and you can pre-select a time, and then, of course, make sure you're there for that time.
Yeah.
But that's a really good tip. And the other thing is, as much as people tend to shudder at the term ArriveCan, that app is still alive and well. We no longer need it for COVID protocols, but you can still use it to preload your declaration form when you're returning back to Canada, and it helps expedite the process of getting through customs once you return.
Okay, all really good advice. You do not want to be that last person checking in.
Definitely not.
And what about for you, Chris? Right now, and we're not seeing a lot of snow, not too much of it anyway, and I know the ski hills are not liking that very much, but what are some problems people are running into right now driving around the province?
What's the temperature in Vancouver right now? Do you know? Usually,
it feels like it's about, 15, 12 maybe, 15?
It's pretty mild out today.
It's pretty mild, yeah. But I can check for you. It's there it is. It's about 9 right now, 9 degrees.
So you're, at least down in the Lower Mainland, you're right on the cusp right now of it being cold enough that all-season tires aren't doing their job so well. So an all-season tire loses its ability to grip at about 7 degrees, +7. So any kind of cooler temperature now, you want to be prepared for being out on the roads. Tires are usually your number one, and then time and space are number 2 and 3.
Time and space, yes. I think I have an inkling as to what you mean by that, but why don't you explain?
Well, giving yourself more time to get wherever it is that you're going, and that really goes for any place that you're driving in the province. We're not necessarily talking about traffic, but just weather conditions, you never know what you are going to encounter out on the roads, on the highways, etc. Yeah, you're leaving Vancouver and you're headed to Kelowna and you're going to go up over the Coquihalla. What's that look like on a wintry day?
Yeah, my goodness.
Not very nice. Here in Prince George in the north, we had freezing rain the day before yesterday. So we woke up to literally cars being frozen shut and the roads being skating rinks.
Wow. And so what are the best ways to deal with that? The cars being frozen shut then? I know I've heard many different bits of advice, but what works in your mind?
Usually what you have to do is you have to be able to get that lock unfrozen. So if you've got, your fob and you're unlocking the door, but then you're trying to get it open, and then you need some kind of, I don't want to say defroster, but something where if you were going to spray that on your lock, sometimes you have to actually spray that over the edges of your doors to be able to crack them open. If you have an automatic car starter, though, you could restart your car, and that will at least start the thawing process from the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good advice. I'm sure people in Prince George have their ideas too. So if you want to give us a call from the north, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733, pound 690 on your cell phone. Really interesting advice too about all season tires and when they start to be work less well and be less efficient for you when the temperature goes down to around 7 is what Chris Salt said. We're asking you for your own travel tips, whether you're traveling by road or by air. Love to hear from you. Your own tips and hacks, your pet peeves as well. What are the mistakes that other travelers make that you see time and time again? You can call in and set the record straight on that. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And joining us now is Keith in Vancouver. Hi, Keith.
Hi there. How are you?
I am fine. Thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, great. I drive in the city a lot for work, and I'm making a lot of city driving. A few things that I see all the time, or many times, are people making a left-hand turn at a controlled intersection with a light. They don't advance into the intersection, or they'll advance for their vehicle only, but not the second vehicle behind, because you can safely and legally get through two vehicles on pretty much every light in the city. So what happens is they go out for themselves, they get through, but the second vehicle just sits there and is not able to get through.
Right.
So that's kind of frustrating when you can get two vehicles there. The other thing is people simply running the lights. If you're running, I'm at first in commercial quite often, and people are going east and west and running the light, and then I'm in the intersection, then the vehicles opposing are coming towards me, so
Yes.
I'm in a bad spot, but people have been running the lights, and I see that sometimes. I guess it's driver inattention, but I've seen some lights that are solid red, and then the vehicle's going through maybe a second later.
Yeah.
And then also pedestrians that, I kind of came up with the line of legs of titanium, brains of mush sometimes, when it's absolutely, not your time to be in the intersection. And then if you've never run a 100-mile or never decided to run or do exercise before, you're just going to saunter in with 2 seconds left. And lastly, I think one thing a resolution for this would be some billboards, simply kind of whatever the ICB determines to be the common things that people see on a regular basis. Maybe just putting out some billboards as reminders are probably quite inexpensive. And just as a reminder, because I've not done a driving test for many years.
Yeah.
Refreshers and that. So just some things I see all the time.
Yeah.
And, I just want to get home safely, and I don't want to hurt anyone else, nor do I want anyone to hurt me. So just some things that I see on a regular basis.
Keith, thank you very much. And, I can picture that intersection at First and Commercial now, too.
Yeah,
That's what you said, right? And it can be a bit of a blind spot, too. So if you're going too fast and running a yellow...
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really something to remind people there. Thank you very much. Really great call.
Thanks for the time.
That's Keith in Vancouver. Chris Schultz is joining us from Prince George. You may not be familiar with this particular intersection, but that idea, so two things he mentioned, people who don't make space for a second car behind them as they wait for the left turn, and then running those yellow, red, and then even red lights. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's a bit of a mix there, right? So on the one hand, when you're entering the intersection and you're putting yourself out there, effectively, depending on the size of the intersection, you can be out. Leaving room for the other vehicle behind you is a little bit of an interesting perspective in that.
Is that a misperception?
Well, you certainly can be in the intersection and putting yourself out there. We don't see that as much as people not advancing at all. So they're waiting for the light, and some people will come up to the line and not do anything. When you've got a really blind left turn that you're making, what you actually want to do is advance into the intersection and almost move a little bit to the left so that you have a better view of what's coming head on. So you need to be safe. It's actually just making sure that the first person that's up there is really making sure that they're giving themselves enough room and enough ability to see. The other side of that was, people going through the light at the last second or going through that very end of the yellow or even the red. If you're following that second vehicle in that left turn, you want to make sure that you're not entering that intersection on the red. So rushing that last part of the left turn.
Yeah, and just to be clear, can you just clear up for us that once again? So really, on the left turn thing, I want to make sure people get this right. So you are waiting to make your left. You are moving forward and advancing a bit. Really, what you want to ensure is you can see, and that there's room for you.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. So the thing that I learned how to do was what was called an S approach, which meant that you came in. You were slightly to the right as you came in to make your left turn, and then you actually move over so you're almost sitting a little bit in front of the median so that you can see properly.
And for people who may feel that pressure to make room for someone else behind them, what's the approach there then?
The ability is that you're trying to see, so you're being kind and conscientious to the other drivers behind you, but that other driver should be a decent space away from you, and they shouldn't be crowding you or rushing you in the intersection.
Okay, and I'm getting there really to the point of patience, right? So that other driver should really be patient, perhaps, and say, okay, maybe this is not an opportunity for me to try and get in on this particular light.
There's a fine line of being in the intersection prepared to go and then being overly aggressive into the intersection and really making sure that you're finishing that turn in a safe manner as opposed to being the last person in as you're rushing through as someone else is coming the other way.
And then you're running the light anyway.
And you're turning left, so you're at the highest degree of risk.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad we really dug into that. On the question of patience, Mackenzie, how much should people pack when they're going to the airport? What points need the most patience?
Well, it's not carry out only with patients.
No.
You definitely need a check bag for all your patients.
That's right.
No, I think that, airlines often will say be at the airport 3 hours early, 4 hours early. And we just think, because we travel all the time, I don't need to be that early. You do. They're telling you that for a reason. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make when they're flying to the United States is not taking into account that we're a border pre-clearance airport. So most of the major airports in Canada actually are. So when you go through security, you wait in that big long lineup, unless you do the YVR Express.
Right.
But after that, you still have to go through U.S. Customs before you even get into the airport. And that lineup can often be significantly longer. So packing your patience for that. And then also keeping in mind that flights are being delayed. We don't need to have a massive winter storm for there to be delays. I flew back last night from Europe and I had a 4-hour delay in Montreal.
Oh my goodness.
Which got me home very late last night.
How did you make it in here? I appreciate it.
A lot of espresso. But there were a number of people on that flight that missed their connection to onward places.
Right.
Internationally or domestically. So one other tip I have quickly that's really important is to try not to plan your flights to connect to the last flight of the day. So there were a number of people last night on my flight that missed the last flight to Kelowna and we were coming in from Montreal. And they missed the last flight, which means you're stuck overnight in Vancouver. And that, if you're flying in on the 23rd or 24th, that's your Christmas holiday, ruined. So, if you have an opportunity to book an earlier departure during the day, even if it's early in the morning, so that if you do miss your connection, you've got backup flights afterwards. So it's obviously not always feasible. There were people last night that missed the flight to Sydney, Australia. there's only one flight a day, so there isn't much help there.
Did you take it upon yourself to say, well, this is something that happens all the time? Or did you just say, I'm just going to leave this alone?
I really wanted to get home last night. It was so late.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I'd been traveling for another 9-hour flight before that. So.
That's fair. You don't have to be on all the time.
No, that's why I come on this show.
That's right. Really great to have you both. Very useful advice for everybody as they head out there this week. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Thanks to you, Chris. Take care.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Chris Kultz is the CEO of the Prince George Driving for Life Academy in Prince George. Mackenzie McMillan is a travel consultant with the Travel Group. Go home and take a nap. This is BC Today here on CBC. And I'm Michelle Eliot. Very nice to have you with us this afternoon. Make sure to join us this Friday when our annual Christmas Card of the Air takes over the show. Yes, longtime listeners will know this very well. This is when you can call into the show and send your own holiday greetings to loved ones across the province and beyond. And last year, Penny called in and had this to share.
I've been calling Christmas Card of the Air since it first began, and in the early days, that meant phoning directly to Prince Rupert and also then to the Vancouver studios. So I'm calling on behalf of Coastal Missions and the mission. I've been calling Christmas Card of the Air since it first began, and in the early days, that meant phoning directly to Prince Rupert and also then to the Vancouver studios. So I'm calling on behalf of Coastal Missions and the missionary vessel Coastal Messenger. As I say, I've called every year since this program began, and I thank CBC for making it possible because it reaches our friends in southeastern Alaska, throughout the interior British Columbia, down into Washington State, and then, of course, all over the coast of British Columbia. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. On behalf of Uncle Roy and Auntie Rachel, Brian and Ann, Tom and Debbie, and myself, hi to all of our friends, and Merry Christmas to everyone on the coast, and also thank you to CBC.
That was Petunia, who called into BC Today last year. Join us on Friday. This is BC Today here on CBC. Now, one of the most joyful parts of this time of year is getting to watch holiday movies. Yeah, you have your old classics like A Christmas Story, or a new classic like Elf, a rom-com, The Holiday is my favorite, rowdy comedies, The Night Before, or maybe one of those Hallmark holiday films. Yes, don't sleep on those. We want to hear about your favorite holiday movies this hour. And one lucky caller, let me grab it now, we'll get this BC Today, a BC Today winter blanket. Look how warm and fuzzy that looks for our live stream viewers, but it is essentially a very warm, fuzzy, brown tartan blanket, thick, and it says BC Today on it. This is the perfect companion for movie night. And you can call us now, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And you can hit pound 690 on your cell phone as well. To get you in the mood, my blanket just fell. To get you in the mood, here's one to take you right back.
Catherine, this turkey tastes half as good as it looks. I think we're all in for a very big treat.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
Okay, Eddie.
Sorry.
Why are you crying?
I told you we put it in too early.
It's just a little dry. That turkey did not turn out well. That is from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, one of my guests' favorite holiday movies. And I'm joined now here in studio by Christine Evans, Professor of Cinema and Media Studies at UBC. Hello.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you for joining us. I was really leaning into the Lampoon part of it with my falling blanket,
yeah.
just getting into the spirit of things.
There's got to be some comedy, slapstick comedy.
You have to have some slapstick. Is that what makes that one of your favorites?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need, there needs to be something of everything with Christmas movies, and they all provide something different. National Lampoon slapstick is part of what makes it such an important classic.
Now, when I first reached out to you and said, do you want to talk about holiday movies? I feel like I got an essay back because this is something you're really into.
Oh, yes.
Why is that?
I love holiday movies. I think that they are such an interesting cultural phenomenon. Like, they're so wonderful to watch, but so deeply strange when you actually think about their purpose. Like, we kind of save them for a specific time of year.
Right.
We don't watch them outside of that time, which is a little bit weird. And they fulfill a really specific function for us. Like, they really work on us in a very specific way, and we need them. So there's something about that I just love. Like, I love that idea.
You've just described exactly, the function of these, what the function of these movies is. And what is that? What do they do for us when we watch them?
It's a great question. I think that there are two things that they do. There's sort of like a cynical thing and a magical thing, and they're both stuck together, like they're imbricated. So the cynical side of it is that, we all want to pretend that we love Christmas, but Christmas is ultimately just a very stressful time when you're an adult.
Yes.
And the movies just sort of feel all of those feelings of goodwill on our behalf. So we don't have to feel them. The movies feel them on our behalf. That's sort of the cynical side of it. But the hopeful side of it that sort of goes alongside that reading is also the fact that there is something magical about these films. So even though we may sit down and initially be like, oh my God, Christmas, by the end of it, if you're not crying, then you probably just haven't been paying attention. So there's like a little like turn in all of them that sort of like turns this screw in us that does actually legitimately make us feel feelings of goodwill. So yeah, I think that there's something about them that's both cynical and hopeful, and that's wonderful.
Right. And have they evolved in a certain way? We've seen new kinds of movies, ones that are, a little bit lean more into the cynical side of things. And then you see this just explosion of, the hallmark romantic comedies. They're formulaic, but very, very popular. Why is that? How have they evolved, I guess?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, in some ways I don't know if they necessarily have. Like, something like It's a Wonderful Life is a really cynical, dark movie.
Yeah.
So sort of one of the central texts of Christmas movies, when we look at it, when you think about it, you're like, this is an existential nightmare. And other films have just sort of followed along in its wake. I think that there's definitely that sense that, again, the holidays are a stressful time. People need films to acknowledge that for us. So, but then you have something like Elf, which is just about like ridiculous, beautiful innocence that, again, is supposed to sort of revive that in us. So, yeah.
It's storytelling, I think, and infused with all those Christmas feelings that we all tend to have. We go through the gamut, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's a real journey. Christmas feelings are, you start from A and you go all the way to Z. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If you make it to Z, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm saying this as someone who loves Christmas. Like,
right.
In case anyone is under any, suspicions that I sound too cynical. No, I love Christmas. I love it. I love it.
I can sense that you've embraced it fully. We're going to talk more about It's a Wonderful Life, in fact, and a movie that you say is sort of its evil twin.
It's evil twin. It's deeply evil twin.
Okay, we're going to find out more about that coming up and hear more from you about your own favorite holiday movies. We have a BC Today cozy winter blanket up for grabs, the perfect companion for holiday movie night. Give us a call. Let us know what's your favorite. What do you watch every year? And what is something you've just discovered as well that you happen to really enjoy? 1-800-825-5950. 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. It's 12:30, time for the CBC News.
Good afternoon. I'm Belle Puri. The Independent Investigations Office is looking into a fatal shooting yesterday by a member of the Abbotsford Police. The call was for a man reportedly going through a mental health crisis. The shooting happened around 10 last night on Riverside Road near King Road. Earthquakes Canada detected a 4.9 magnitude quake yesterday afternoon near Pemberton. The quake was felt on northern and central Vancouver Island, as well as Greater Vancouver and as far away as Kelowna. The University of Northern British Columbia will launch a Bachelor of Arts in Nisga'a Language Fluency degree program in September. The 4-year degree will offer students an immersive education in the Nisga'a language. About 70% of the courses will have a Nisga'a component. And holiday shoppers are being warned to watch out for thieves looking to steal Christmas gifts. Police say shoppers should lock items in the trunk to make sure nothing is visible and not make multiple trips to vehicles while shopping. Now a look at the BC weather along the north coast. Rain with some windy spots, a high of 6. In the Peace region, light snow and -3. Central interior, some snow. In the southeast, mainly cloudy. Southern interior, mainly cloudy. And along the south coast, rain right through the evening. Now back to Michelle Eliot and more of BC Today.
And do you have a favorite holiday film, Belle?
A holiday film. I watch so many of them,
Yeah.
you know, right?
No, it's
this
hard
is
to
that
choose.
season when you're. I just like the ones that make me smile, and most of them do.
Yeah, no, that's true. I watched one even on Netflix last night that made me smile. I just thought, oh, you know what, just throw it on. And it was actually quite smart. It was about a vineyard. It was a holiday in the vineyard. So there you go.
And you can easily OD on the Hallmark movies, right?
It's so true. Binge watching at its best. Thank you so much. That is Belle Puri in the CBC Vancouver newsroom. Welcome back. You're with BC Today here on CBC. We're live on Radio 1, live streaming as well on the CBC News app. You can use our website, cbc.ca/BC. You can also find us on YouTube. Just search for CBC Vancouver. I'm Michelle Eliot. Thanks so much for being with us. And yes, we are taking your calls about the best holiday movies, your favorite holiday movies. Let us know what you watch every single year. What's one you've just discovered? Do you binge watch Hallmark movies? You can call us 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. You can hit pound 690 on your cell phone. And we are giving away a BC Today cozy winter blanket to one lucky caller. So you can give us a call. I'm joined by Christine Evans, professor of cinema and media studies at UBC. And so you mentioned It's a Wonderful Life, and you also talked about why it's important, but also another film that's sort of comparable, but quite a bit darker, essentially.
I think infinitely darker, especially since it's intended for children.
Okay, it is a Disney film. Well, first, let's take a look and listen to It's a Wonderful Life.
How did you happen to fall in?
I didn't fall in. I jumped in to save George.
You what? To save me?
Well, I did, didn't I? You didn't go through with it, did you?
Go through with what?
Suicide.
Oh, it's against the law to commit suicide around here.
Yeah, it's against the law where I come from, too.
Oh, where do you come from?
Heaven? I had to act quickly. That's why I jumped in. I knew if I were drowning, you'd try to save me. You see, you did. And that's how I saved you.
As you say, yeah, it really gets to the core of that existential crisis. I have to admit, I have never seen It's a Wonderful Life. I know, gasp. Yes, but tell us why it comes up again and again, right, as the most important film. So why is that?
I may just leave because you haven't seen It's a Wonderful Life.
I've offended so many right now.
It's a Wonderful Life is just a brilliant movie. And it's one of those movies that when you initially start watching it, you're like, this is about Christmas. How? Because this is just about like a man and his terrible life. And that's what I'm watching. And eventually it just sort of becomes a film about a man who's just incredibly stressed out, trying to do best by his family. Everybody in his family leaves, has a way better life than he does. He just sort of sticks around, does what he's supposed to do, and gets more and more miserable. Again, Christmas spirit somehow. Yeah. And then an angel shows up when he's contemplating suicide and decides to show him what the world would look like if he had never existed. This is when the film's like existential horrors really reveal themselves, because basically he sees the world, what it would look like without him. And it's a terrifying part of the film. And ultimately, this sort of prompts him to realize just how amazing his life ultimately is. All of this takes place on Christmas Eve. So that's where the Christmas part comes in. But the film takes place over the course of many years. So it's not just an exclusively Christmas film, but we remember it for Christmas.
It's profound. Scott writes us, the one movie I watch every year is It's a Wonderful Life. It's a great reminder that no matter how much stress and pressure you are experiencing, the best things in life are free. Wishing stress relief for all those families facing financial challenges over these holidays. That is a lovely sentiment. Thank you so much, Scott, for that
Well said,
email.
Scott.
Yeah, well said. And so you wanted to compare that to a movie that came quite a bit later and was made by Disney.
Yes, 1985. It's called One Magic Christmas. And this movie, again, it's intended for children. It's a Wonderful Life is obviously meant for family audiences, but it has very adult themes. This is explicitly intended for children. And it has a very similar conceit, except the genders are swapped. So it's a mom who's very stressed out. And her kids are basically like, Mom is so cranky and she doesn't have the Christmas spirit. The reason why Mom doesn't have the Christmas spirit is the family is incredibly poor. She's trying her hardest, working at a supermarket. Her man-child husband refuses to get a job and just wants to work on bikes in the basement. And her kids are just like, Mom's cranky and we don't like her at Christmas time. An angel shows up, played by Harry Dean Stanton. If you're unfamiliar, Harry Dean Stanton is a favorite of David Lynch's. And he looks like a serial killer.
This does not feel like a Disney movie, right? Okay.
Yeah. And he's dressed kind of like, if anyone has seen Jeepers Creepers, he's dressed like the creeper in Jeepers Creepers. So big, long overcoat, cowboy hat, looks really suspicious, and then approaches the little girl of this family and is like, hey, do you want to come with me to the North Pole, learn about that? So kind of all of the children, or all of the lessons that you learned as a child, don't talk to this man specifically, like the poster child for the man that you don't talk to.
Yeah.
Why don't you just go hang out with him in the North Pole? He's an angel, apparently. His name's Gideon. Yeah. Of course. Anyway, so he then proceeds, a la Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life, he proceeds to show the cranky mom, played by Mary Steenburgen, what her life would look like, not if she had never existed, but if her husband on Christmas Eve were shot and killed, and if her children were kidnapped, and the kidnapper drove the car off a bridge into the icy waters and drowned the children. Then she gets the Christmas spirit. So it's this just a very weird,
horrific.
Like moms perk up at Christmas time because,
Yeah. Oh my gosh. For you to have to study these is
This is actually just a movie from my childhood.
Yeah.
So I've never thought about it in like an
Academically.
academic context,
Yeah.
but it terrified me as a child.
It's like really is the breadth of the kinds of Christmas movies there are. Wow. Okay. Well, on that note, let's take some calls from our listeners now as we ask, what is your favorite holiday movie? We have a BC Today blanket up for grabs. Let us know. 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. And Joe, I know you've been waiting patiently in Prince George. Thanks so much for calling in.
Oh, thank you. I'm sitting on the side of the highway.
Oh,
I heard the show.
glad you called in. What do you want to talk about?
I like The Christmas Carol with Alistair Sims.
Yeah.
I believe it was 1941. We'd get up every Christmas morning, which I forgot. We went for breakfast, come home, turn TV on, and it would be on.
Oh.
And I watched it. I watch it faithfully every year, and I'm 62 now.
Oh, wow.
That's been a lot of years.
Since you were a kid.
I was it was before I was going to school.
Yeah. Oh, my
I started
goodness.
watching it.
What's your favorite thing about it?
Just the meaning of it.
Yeah.
Where the guy goes from the old ogre to the real happy guy. Just the meaning of it.
Yeah. And we've seen so many iterations of A Christmas Carol, too. I mean, it's such a... Really, it's the ultimate story, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I like the older ones more than the newer ones.
Ah, there you go. I like that you have an opinion about that, Joe. Have you watched it already this year?
Not yet. It's coming up.
That is fantastic. Joe, thank you very much. Any thoughts about Christmas Carol?
Absolutely. I mean, the sort of classic rendition of A Christmas Carol. And as you've mentioned, we've seen so many permutations of this story of like, you will be visited by three ghosts who will show you something.
Yes.
And again, that idea of being shown an alternate reality at Christmas. That's a real thing. We really like
Yes.
that. But I think that Joe was right to point out this idea of things that we have watched since we were children really stick with us at Christmas. We really like to come back. So there's an aspect of ritual here as well that I think is really important to point out.
That's a really good point. I feel that way about The Sound of Music.
Oh, yeah.
Which I know for some is a Christmas movie. I watched it when I was a kid. Still watch it now. My daughter absolutely loves it. Chris is up next now with, I think we can settle this debate. Chris in Mission, you say your favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard.
Most definitely. It's
Yes.
so hopeful. And I think it's Bruce Willis at his finest, apart from Fifth Element. And I found out just recently in an interview that I watched with Terry Gilliam that the whole Broken Glass Barefoot was his improv. And it's such an integral part of the movie.
Yeah. Why? And you talk about the optimism of Die Hard, which I don't know if that's the first thing that comes to mind.
I think that that's a beautiful first thing to come to mind.
Yeah.
I think that it is. Lots of action movies we like them because they're optimistic. Die Hard is especially optimistic.
Good wins.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good wins. And Chris, what to you makes it a Christmas movie then?
I don't know. It's a little bit left field of everything else that's being played at Christmas.
Yeah.
Of course, I like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Definitely. I just saw somebody at the store with a Griswold Chicago jersey. That was nice to see. But I don't know. As I said, I love the action combined with the optimism of trying to save the relationship, and he's just on fire in that movie.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce Willis, absolutely. Let's play. I have a clip, actually, Chris, if you don't mind, just hanging on the line. We have a treat for you right now. We'll play a little clip, okay?
All right.
This is Die Hard.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs. I know what a TV dinner feels like.
Do you recognize John's line there? John McClane's line.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. He's crawling through the air duct, right? Trying to escape.
Oh, that's a great. It's purely like a visual clip. There's a lot of breathing and movement going on there on the radio.
It's a strange one to listen
like
to.
Hearing your blanket fall. It really needs some explaining. But that was great to hear. And I have yet to watch it again this year. But I was just saying to my buddy on the farm yesterday, it's coming up. I got to watch it. It's not kid appropriate, but yippee-ki-yay. So.
Yippee-ki-yay. Yeah, you know you're Die Hard. Chris, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. Yes, some context for that. He's crawling through the air duct trying to escape from the bad guys. And I love and Bruce Willis does this so well, right? The sardonic sense of humor.
He's also at peak handsome in Die Hard. It's peak handsome.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Yes, exactly.
Hence that scene.
Absolutely.
Chris, thanks so much for that. That was fun. Lori is on the line next in Port Alberni to share her favorite holiday movie. Hi, Lori.
Hi there.
Thanks for calling. What is the movie that you have to watch every year?
Well, I would have to say that I actually never watch any of the movies that go on at Christmas. Neither does my mother. However, she's in a complex care facility now, and she's just about 90. And starting about 3 weeks ago, trying to find something for her to watch on television, and all she's gravitating to is the kind of holiday romance movies. And so she's been watching them pretty much solid for several weeks now. And to just sit and hold her hand and watch her watch these movies has been quite interesting.
Oh, my goodness. How does it feel?
Well, brings me to tears. And it's quite moving.
Yeah.
So I guess there is a place for them, even if it means you have to wait until you're almost 90 before you latch onto them.
Oh, what a lovely memory that you're making right now with your mom.
Yeah, every day for lunch, and whatever movie is playing, we sit there and it just plays. That channel is just there pretty much all day long, every day at this point.
They bring joy. They bring joy, Laurie, right?
Certainly bringing her some right now, and like I say, maybe a bit of an eye opener for me as well. But great memories this year.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear from you. Thank you very much. A Merry Christmas to your mom.
Thank you, and to everybody out there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
It's a beautiful story.
What a beautiful story.
Also, I loved that she mentioned that she likes to watch her mom watching the movies. I feel like so many of our happiest memories are watching people we love watching the movies that they love. So you're right that it's very nice that she's making this sort of late in life memory. That's really beautiful.
I find that really beautiful. I watch my daughter watching Sound of Music, and seeing her sing along reminds me of when I was a kid. We actually have a surprise for you right now. We have someone on the line calling from Toronto. Go ahead.
Hi. We're calling from Toronto.
That's my mother.
It's Christine Evans' mom and dad. And speaking of people watching Christmas movies, we remember the very Christine who is being interviewed by you right now. Thank you. She was watching a movie about a little boy waiting to get his Christmas gun for Christmas.
Yes.
So that was one of Christine's favorite movies that we remember.
Mom, I would actually like to remind you that you didn't let me watch that movie until I was 17 years old. So,
Exactly.
For all the viewers out there.
It's a Christmas story.
A Christmas story,
yes.
That's a Christmas story, right? The other one that we called in about was Love Actually, because of all the segments that are so attractive and so happy. And then the other one was the sing-along version of Scrooge with Albert Finney. So there was Christine. Our Christine is being interviewed, watching and singing along and memorizing all of the music from Christmas. So Christmas music is so important, at least to me and to my family, certainly Christine and certainly her father and I.
Oh.
And we've loved all of the music that we can just keep singing along and enjoying Christmas, because we're going to be visiting Vancouver and visiting Christine Evans at Christmas in the next week.
Would you like, when you said that you wrote me an essay, or that I wrote you an essay, you can see where I get it from.
I can see where Christine's love of films comes from, Sylvia.
Of course, we just hope that everything is going to go well for everyone in Vancouver, and we hope that everyone has a Merry Christmas in Vancouver, because we're going to be visiting your Vancouver, and we're going to make sure that it's good time.
Oh, you'll be making some new memories and
new memories, and watching also Christmas movies. So thank you very much to you for taking our call.
Thank you.
Enjoying this surprise for your Christine Evans.
You notice I didn't
love you,
get
Mom.
a chance to get a word in edgewise. So here I am. Hi, I'm Mitchell.
Hi, Mitchell. Hi, Sylvia. Safe travels to Vancouver, okay?
Thank you so much, and please
They'll stay on the line all day.
Callers. Thanks again for taking our call. Merry Christmas to all of you.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Happy.
Merry Christmas, Sylvia and Mitchell Evans. Do you need a tissue or?
Crying with laughter.
Embarrassment?
No, my parents are amazing. I just never thought that they would crash my CBC interview.
They have
why am I surprised?
The three of you should just run the film school at UBC.
Yeah, that would be something.
They are lovely, absolutely lovely. Oh my goodness.
They're going to be like, can we go see Michelle when we're in Vancouver?
They sure
We're
can.
going to need to go see Michelle now.
They sure can. Yes, absolutely. I can't wait to meet them. We'll have a movie night together. I love it. Trace is up next. In fact, Trace in Vancouver, you want to talk about A Christmas Story.
Hello.
Hi there. Thanks for
Trace.
calling in, Trace.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes, and tell us why you love A Christmas Story. Yeah.
It's a 1983 film, I believe. That's what the internet says. It's a great film. It sort of reminds me of a baby boomer Christmas, and it's the line, the famous line. It is you'll shoot your eye out because the little boy wants a BB gun and he's discouraged.
You'll shoot your eye out. You'll shoot your eye out.
I have seen this one. I remember seeing it and just being aghast at how cruel the kids were to him. Trace, have you seen it this year yet?
Nope. No, I haven't.
No. Do you plan to or no?
We'll see. Yeah, it might be fun to watch again. When my kids were little, I think we watched it very often.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Trace, thank you very much. You share.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Trace. Thank you for the call. Sharing obviously childhood memories with you.
Absolutely.
Have that in common.
And yeah, A Christmas Story is one of those great Christmas movies because when you watch it as a child, it means one thing. When you watch it as an adult, it means another thing. So again, that adult version of this film, which again, I have not seen since I was an adult because my parents forbade it. But yeah, all of that stress surrounding the holidays, I think really, really brilliantly brought to light in A Christmas Story.
Shall we work out any other issues that you have? I'm just joking.
Here we go, right on the air.
Oh,
therapy with Michelle Eliot.
I love the twists and turns that we get on this show.
The things that happen live.
That's right. Our number again, we have about 10 minutes left to talk about holiday movies and taking your favorites, your new discoveries. We have a BC Today blanket winter, very cozy, thick winter blanket up for grabs for one lucky caller, 1-800-825-5950, 604-669-3733. Lots of emails to Roman writes from North Vancouver. My favorite is A Charlie Brown Christmas. I love this movie very, very much, and the music as well. And you go to a Christmas concert, which I've just done. Of course, they played music, Vince Guaraldi's very, very recognizable tune. And Roman, Filipino Canadian, writes, Maligayang Pasko sa inyong lahat as well. Roman in North Vancouver, maraming salamat. That means Merry Christmas and thank you very much. Really lovely Filipino. See, I had a little bit of a shout out too.
Shout out there.
I'm happy about that. Thanks so much, Roman. Will is calling in from Chilliwack. Hi, Will.
Hey, Michelle, how are you today?
Very well. Thanks so much, Will. I know we have James coming up from Chilliwack as well in a moment, but Will, your favorite is really the ultimate, Christine's favorite, ultimate favorite as well. Go ahead, Will. Hi, Will, are you there? I think we have a little bit of confusion here because we have two callers from Chilliwack. Will was going to say his favorite is It's a Wonderful Life. And let's maybe talk about it a little bit and give Will a chance to reconnect if he's there.
I think we're having a bit of an It's a Wonderful Life sort of moment of frisson. Yep. I mean, again, It's a Wonderful Life. It's a classic for a reason. Like, again, all of that optimism and all of that. Like, again, the film is always accused of being schmaltzy, and it is. But I mean, it is quality schmaltz. Like, this is like delicious, excellently made schmaltz.
Quality schmaltz. I love it. I'm all for quality schmaltz. I'm here for it. And Will is here now as well. Hi, Will.
Oh, hey, Michelle. How are you?
I am fine. So glad that we got you back on the line. Tell us why you love It's a Wonderful Life.
So I did not get a chance to see this movie until my mid-20s when my wife and I, or my not-so-wife back then, but we were visiting my folks in Winnipeg, and my mom said, oh, we got to watch this movie, and I knew nothing about it. And now we've been married for like over 30 years, and it's a tradition that we watch it on Christmas Eve with the kids. And, yeah, it's just I think it's a movie that allows us to have like a recheck of what's important in our lives.
Yeah.
And the biggest point that I wanted to make is during the movie, there's the scene where Clarence jumps into the water to get George, and they're drying themselves off. And there's a book that he's drying off, and it was Huckleberry Finn. And then at the very end of the movie, one of the citizens brings this big pot of money that's in a basket, and the book is on top of this money, and he opens the first page, And what the phrase says is, no man is a failure who has friends.
Wow. Tom Sawyer.
And I just think that is such a classic, mantra to live by, that, you don't need a fancy house. You don't need a fancy car. You don't need to jet off to Europe or to some hot destination every year. As long as you have family and friends, that's really what it's all about.
Agreed.
Very much agreed, Will. And you're looking forward to watching it again with your family this year?
Well, it's kind of funny. We're jetting off to Mexico for.
I can watch it in Mexico.
You just said.
That's just a kind of a side note, but it's nice because my sister and her husband from the UK are flying in on Christmas Eve.
Oh, how nice!
We'll definitely pop that into the DVD player and watch it for sure.
Wonderful. Have a Merry Christmas, okay?
Yeah, thanks, you too, and all the best. We really appreciate all the good work that you guys do at CBC. Have a happy holiday.
Thank you, Will. Enjoy your time with your family and friends. I have 1 minute left. Let's get James in Chilliwack. Hi, James.
Hi, calling from Chilliwack.
Yes, what's your favorite?
Just to remind you that Elf is suffering its 20th anniversary this year. It's been mentioned quite a bit on American TV.
Yes.
And to remind you that it's a Homer, it was made in Vancouver.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, I think the latter part of the movie may have been shot in New York.
Yeah.
But the Elfie parts were shot in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
The Elfie parts.
The Elfie parts, which are the best parts.
Best parts.
The best parts.
And what's your favorite part of Elf?
Well, here's my favorite part. And I'm not just saying this, but my son was the operator on the movie.
Oh, wow.
And he's a UBC graduate.
Yeah.
So you can see the movie really as a BC production.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. You want to send a shout out to your son?
Hi, Will. How's it going?
Congratulations on a little movie you made that kind of made it big.
Mm-hmm. Well done.
I must say that my son had always spoken very highly of Bob Newhart.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. It would hurt me so much if I found out that Bob Newhart wasn't a good man.
No. James, all the best to you. Thanks for the call.
Bye for now.
Thank you, James.
Bye-bye. Talking about Elf there. Congratulations to Lori from Port Alberni. You get the BC Today winter blanket. Christine, what a treat to speak with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me on air, Michelle. Thanks for talking about, this is the best thing you could ask me to talk about.
That's
happy.
right. It in itself was a journey, wasn't it?
It indeed was. Yeah, my parents called, people cried.
It was a movie.
It's a holiday movie time.
That's right. Enjoy your time with your parents, okay?
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Christine Evans, Professor of Cinema and Media Studies at UBC. That's it for our show today. Thank you to all of our callers. That was such a wonderful time. I'm Michelle Eliot. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk tomorrow.